Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Community TV One's Pillars of Success. My name is W. Earl Sparrow Jr. I'm the host, and we have a special guest in the house, Mr. Ted Sottong, with us today from Pick Up the Ball. We have a lot of things to get to. He has a lot of exciting things he has going on, and we're going to just jump straight to the interview section. He's a part of the village and a part of the army that's fighting back against all of the violence and all of the bad things that are going on in our community. And I'm very excited to get his movement and get it moving forward and faster than ever before. We need more individuals that have a heart to serve like he does. So, Ted, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about pickuptheball.com, pickuptheball.org, and where the inspiration for this came. Because I know you played ball back in the day, but how do we get from to where we are now?
Well, Pick Up the Ball is an organization. We go out to basketball courts where they're playing out on the streets, and that's where we connect with our members. That idea of being able to connect with them there, where they exist, is just came from me going out to basketball courts. I was mentoring some kids, and that's where they wanted to spend all of their spare time. Mm-hmm. So I actually don't play. I know how to shoot a basketball, but they don't want me to do that.
They want you behind the camera, huh?
Right. So I go out there. I'll take some pictures sometimes. Sometimes I just sit and watch. But from doing that, from watching what was going on, I saw a really interesting sort of subculture happening where these guys are very much involved in each other's lives. They really care about each other, and they're keeping each other out of trouble. I mean, a lot of these guys go out to play basketball just because they know that if they don't do that, they may get involved with something else. So they're out there supporting each other and keeping each other out of trouble. So the guys I deal with anyway are not involved in bad stuff. There's very little drug use. They're not drinkers or athletes, so they're trying to stay healthy. And so we're starting with a group of guys, people, boys, men and women, who are where I don't have to overcome those kinds of problems in order to start to work with them on other issues. So the things that they have been lacking, a lot of them are family structure. A lot of them have single parent homes. Some have no parent at home. Some are living with a grandparent. So there are things, and usually when the parent is gone, it's usually the father that's not there. So a lot of them haven't had the fatherly advice and the guidance that they've needed in life to really understand what to do. So they've kind of been raising each other. They've been getting all of their information from their peers, and that has resulted in not some great success. So what I'm trying to do is not to save them from the gutter, but to take some really good guys and just to try to give them a few more skills, build them into leaders so that they can start to reach their community. So it's really not about pick up the ball reaching the community. It's about pick up the ball reaching pick up basketball players so that those guys can start to reach the community. So we're trying to build leaders, we're trying to build mentors, and we're trying to build an army of guys that can go out and these guys can reach the guys that I can't reach and that no other organization I don't think in the area can reach. They're friends with them, and they can get to them and they can reach them.
That gap has been, and I was talking about this I think earlier this week. I was talking and post on my Facebook post about there's a gap where when Dad couldn't take you fishing, Deacon Johnson could take you fishing. You couldn't go to the game, Dad couldn't go to the game, but Minister Jackson would be there. There was a lot of the churches would fill that role and be mentors and help. Mom didn't know how to do this thing, but she can call Sister Jackson. That's a I'm just using Jackson for the last name, whatever, Sister Smith, that's an algebra teacher, and she can help her and tutor her daughter and stuff like that. But there's a, in my opinion, there's been a backing away from the church that was the Mecca, that was the pillar for the community where people could get help with food, help with babysitters. Mother Johnson would keep them, not, we got to go online and try to find somebody. Or the kids got to keep themselves because we don't trust anybody. It's very, very telling that you said that these kids have to kind of raise themselves when that hasn't been the pattern, especially within the African American community. They've had, if they decide not to go to Sunday school, and their Sunday school teacher would be another person that I'm involved very much with my church, Mount Olive AME, teaching Sunday school, choir, and I got kids that I'm a class leader and I have boys. So it's a part of that mentoring part that they have with me is because they're connected to a church. But for those kids that don't go to church or their parents don't go to church, what do we have for them? And it's glad that you are there and putting that organization in place where they can learn that there are things that a 19-year-old can't tell you, that a 50-year-old could. Right. There are things that a 16-year-old, I know that's your best friend, he's been with you for all 12 years of your life, but there are things that he doesn't know about that a 40-year-old like myself could help and share with you about. So I really appreciate that you see that underbelly of kids raising kids, babies raising babies kind of thing, not and stepping in and making them well-rounded. Great you know how to shoot a layup. Great you know how to dunk. That's great. You had a bunch of assists and you shot a three-pointer from the half court, something like that. How are your grades?
Right.
How's your attendance?
And they actually have people in their lives who will quiz them about things and who will come in on school assemblies and deliver them great messages. But they, a lot of them, and I hate to generalize and just say they. Yeah. And so when I say that, what I'm meaning is a majority of them, or just an awful lot of them. They don't have somebody who's willing to get involved, and so if you're going to mentor somebody, it's going to be more than just a phone call now and then to find out how their grades are. It's going to be more than just getting into their space and giving them advice. It's about getting involved in their lives and listening to them, and having a real interaction, just like somebody does with their dad. You don't learn from your dad because he sits you down and teaches you stuff. You learn from your dad because you watch him and you see what he does. And so if you're going to mentor somebody, you have to be around them enough to sort of. So it's a time commitment that it's hard for most people to do that because everybody works and is busy. But that's really what it takes to mentor somebody, is to really invest in them that way.
They want to know, can they call? When they call, you will pick up. When they call, you will drop anything and everything and go make sure they're all right. But I think this is another part of a slap against adults, period. We don't want to be adults anymore. We want to be kids. We want to be older kids. We want to, and we've let those kids down so much that they don't trust adults.
It's a really interesting point, because one of our responsibilities as adults is to model being an adult for these kids, and to not model an adult that isn't happy being an adult, but would rather be a kid or would rather just check out, but to really show them that being an adult is fun, and you can still have fun as an adult, and you can be happy as an adult. Because a lot of these kids, I don't think they believe that. I think they think once they get old, life is over. So we need to show them that there's a lot to look forward to as a kid. You're going to be an adult. There's ways to be happy doing that. I think that's a huge part of what we owe our kids.
I think I remember when I was in high school, I was graduated class in 1993. This guy named Arnett and this guy named Cy, they probably gonna watch this and they were gonna remember this. They told me, they took me in the back of the church and said, hey man, don't graduate. Trust me, once you graduate, that's it. That's it.
Fun's over.
You're on your own, you gotta work. You're not gonna have any fun, you're not gonna have time to do anything but work and go home and sleep. Just don't do it, man. Just don't do it. And I thought it was so hilarious. And then that Toys R Us kid thing started coming in. I don't want to grow up. Once I started, I have kids, I have a mortgage. Thank God my cars are paid off. Thank you, Jesus. I don't have 2 car payments anymore. But having to work and grind and everything else is something that all those kids see. And especially if you have a strike, people want to rap about the struggle. If you have a drug conviction, if you can't go to school, can't go to college with the scholarship or get federal aid anymore because of that rule, you can't get a job anymore. So, you know, it's crazy that systematic racism stuff kicks in, especially even with people that don't have a criminal record, that are African American. They have higher unemployment rates because of these other things. And I see I want to be 18 or 17 as long as I can, but there are ways to do it. There are ways to move forward and to be successful for the next generation, and that's really what it's about.
Sure. You know, the way that it gets framed is, everybody wants money, so you got to grind, you got to work, you got to get money, and so it's always about you have to do all of this to get this, and yeah, that doesn't sound like any fun, really, but what we're not communicating to them is that when you work like that, the feeling that you have at the end of the day about yourself is something that nobody can ever take away from you.
Right.
If you let yourself feel like that, if you just look at it as you can have a job at what would be considered the worst job in the community, and I'm certainly not going to mention any, but there are some jobs where people are just like, oh, I just have to do this. But you can look at that job and say, okay, well, when I left, everything was clean. Everyone that I interacted with was happy with me. I did a great job today, and they need to really feel great about themselves for that, because that's like I said, that's the paycheck is great, but you can't take away that feeling. And once we start to let them know that that's an important feeling to have and that they can have that, then it's not a grind. It's yeah, I'm out there, I'm contributing to the community, even though I might just be a clerk at a fast food restaurant. I'm contributing to the economy of the community. I'm developing skills, talking to people I don't know. There's all kinds of things that come out of that, and they need to understand that.
Mm-hmm. My mom told me that if I'm going to be a street sweeper, I need to be the best street sweeper that's out there, and I need to make sure those streets are the cleanest in the city. Right. For that pride that's there. Yeah. A lot of people don't want to talk about the grind and the work to get there. They want to talk about after you've done that. They want to see the people with the gold chains and the girls and the cars and all this other stuff, but they don't want to see, being homeless in New York before somebody picks that mixtape up or something like that. They don't want to see the grind part. They just want to see the glory.
Right.
And I'm definitely excited for you to be here. We're going to come back in the next segment. You're going to tell us a little bit about that transition from being an architect to being the founder and the executive director. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back with our second segment with Mr. Ted Sottong of Pick Up the Ball.
Hello, I'm James Middlebrooks with the Community Press. I'm here to let you know that we have a community paper that is just going all around Fort Myers, Florida. I have 3 other people that are working with me, and that is Veronica Barber, Pablo Williams, and we call him Bodie, who is our circulation manager. We are working for you. We want you to know that this is the community paper for us. We want to put stories about what's happening, good stories about what's happening in our community. We want to do things on the local level, on the state level, on the national level, but we are sincerely about the local level. But we are so happy that we can report to you 28 pages of good stuff. We're reporting about the churches around this community. We're reporting about the community, about the fraternities and sororities. We're reporting about people who a lady just graduated from high school and she's 78 years old. I think that's remarkable. We are reporting about people who live the longest around here. We have a young lady who's 116 years and she's still around. We love what we are doing and we are proud of giving you the report to you from the community press. Thank you and have a great day.
After a car accident, call me, Attorney Joe North. I am here for you and for your family. How do you go about getting good medical treatment? Who's going to pay for those medical bills? And what about money for your pain and suffering? And what about the lost wages? For more than 25 years, I have been helping clients with those same questions. For more than 25 years, families have trusted me with their accident cases. So after an accident, call me, Joe North. I am here for you.
Happy New Year and welcome to Tax Care. We are located at 2227 Fowler Street in Fort Myers. Come see us and get your huge refund. Have you ever been somewhere and felt like you didn't get the refund you deserve?
Come see us.
Have you ever been somewhere and felt like they ripped you off?
Come see us.
Have you ever gone somewhere and gotten your taxes prepared and then gone back to get your refund and they had moved?
Come see us.
Come see us and get your huge refund. We are waiting on you.
Hablo en español.
Let me tell you, hey yo, hey yo, the words that you got, someone tell you to grow up and give up on your dream. Hey yo, so
Welcome back to Community TV's Pillars of Success. I'm your host, W. Earl Sparrow Jr. Once again in the house, we have Mr. Ted Sottong, founder and executive director of Pick Up the Ball. I wanted to get your story. You were an architect in a former life. Well, you're once an architect, always an architect, I guess. Your mind still sees things the way the architects see them. But tell us about that day. Just say, all right, there's a calling, there's a movement, there's something that I need to do that goes beyond this.
Yeah, you know, it's I was an architect for 24 years, and to walk away from that wasn't a small decision. There were a couple of things that I had to overcome. One was my identity as an architect. Whenever I went somewhere, dinner party or a fundraising event or whatever, I would always introduce myself as an architect, and I was proud of being an architect. I worked hard to get there, and so to think of myself as no longer an architect was a leap for me. But I had to realize that my identity wasn't an architect; that it was bigger than that. And so that was the first thing. I think the other, oddly enough, the other thing that I had to overcome, which was maybe even harder, was that I was afraid people would think I was a nut, that I was crazy, that I lost my mind, and that was kind of the last thing that I had to let go of. And once I said to myself, well, I don't really care if they think I'm crazy or not, then it was a much easier decision. But it was a process. Sarah Owen with Community Foundation is a great friend and just an amazing lady and smart person. So she was really the first person I talked to, and I remember I said to her, I don't want to leave architecture just because maybe I'm burned out on it. And she said, well, you know what? Maybe sometimes God will burn us out on something so that we're ready to do something else. So, to realize that it was that whatever feeling I had about why I wanted to leave was valid, that there wasn't necessarily an invalid reason, but it was just a calling and a place that God was pushing me to be next, and to just accept it and be obedient and follow it.
So what was that last day like?
The last day at the firm?
Yeah, last day at the firm. Last time I checked, architects don't make $9.50 an hour.
Right, right.
Bachelor's degree, they're not free. Even if you did have a full ride, you still had to pay for sweat economy. You had to pay sweat equity,
Yeah.
those tests and all those other things. So
Right.
what was that last day like?
Well, from a financial standpoint, I was doing okay, and oddly enough, even though I was making a comfortable salary, I was always running out of money, and I could never figure out why. And I was doing pick up the ball stuff while I was still working, so I was spending money on that, but I didn't see in my books how I was spending so much that I was putting myself in that position, given the salary that I had.
A hole in your pocket.
Right, and so there was a little bit of fear about money when I left, and I was very fortunate to be able to be a partner in a very good firm, and I sold my half of the firm, and so that's sustaining me for a while on a monthly basis. That amount of money isn't anywhere close to what I was making before. However, since I've left architecture and I'm doing this now, and I continue to do the things I was doing for Pick Up the Ball, maybe even more, plus picking up things that I wasn't doing before, like health insurance and things like that. Even with all of that, I have not had a moment's worry about money since I've left. I've had enough. And
That's inspiring to hear, because a lot of people say, I can't step away from this. I'm not called to do this anymore, but as long as I'm certified teacher, or I'm a certified nurse, or I'm a certified this or that, I gotta keep doing this, even if my heart's not in it. There's no way that the bills, I got bills, man, I got bills. I joke around a lot when people ask me to play for a wedding or something like that, and I tell them what my fee is, my honorarium is. They're like, oh, no. I say, hey, if I was a college kid, if I was in high school, I was just starting out, I wouldn't mind. Give me $20 or some gas money or something like that. But you got to pay the cost to be the boss. You want the best wedding, you need to hire the best person and pay the best price. Yeah. But when it comes to exactly what you're talking about, worrying about how I'm going to pay the bills, God always provides. He always provides. And if it's of him, right. Now you're going to do your own thing. I want to start a tattoo shop, and I want to bring some rock artists in and do that. That's okay. I don't know if God called me to do that. That's something I want to do. Right. That's something totally different. If it fails, maybe I can't blame God. I got to blame myself, because I didn't actually pray about it. I didn't actually plan it the way it was. I was just going to go with the flow or something like that. So I hope whatever that, there's a doctor out there watching this, there's an architect that knows that they hate doing their job, they love it, the houses are nice and everything else that they're building and designing working well, the money's coming in well, but their heart's not in it.
And I know in my life I kept thinking, well, if I can get to a certain point, then I can do this, or if I can make so much money, I can do this. And what I think I learned in my life was that I will never have enough. I will never have. I think a lot of people think, well, once I get set, then I'll be able to donate, or I'll be able to contribute time. Mm-hmm. And you're never going to be set, because that bar this will keep moving and moving and moving. Right. So at some point you have to say, okay, well, I'm okay with not being set and doing it anyway. And I think once you get to that point, then you'll really be able to start making a difference in other people's lives and in your own life just by, like you said, following that calling that God's put there for you.
It's called it's the phenomenon called I can't go to church. I'm a sinner. I still drink. I still smoke cigarettes and other things. So I don't want to go to church until I'm perfect.
Right.
Guess what? You're never going to be perfect. So you're never going to be set.
Yeah.
Putting a goal down, that's fine. This is my goal. Once I hit my account has 2 commas in it instead of 1, then I'm quitting.
Right.
No, you're not. As soon as you get close to that and say, hey, you know what? Let's double this and then I'll quit. So,
Sure.
you're just kicking
You
the
get a
can
taste
down
for
the
it.
road. So I appreciate that leap of step. So tell me about your first kid. Tell me about the first kid that said, all right, I don't know you, but, I'll give you a shot.
Yeah, his name was Sterling. His name is Sterling. And I started, I met him through the Quality of Life Center, him and another kid. I took him to an FGCU basketball game, and they had a great time. It was the first time they had been to a game like that. Bought them the T-shirts and the hats and all that stuff. And the other kid was, his name was Keyshawn, and his mom works at the Quality Life Center, so I knew them. And then they wanted to go to more games. I think maybe that year I took him to 1 or 2 games, and then the next year I think I took him to almost every game. And then I started going to Sterling's games. He played basketball, and so I would just go out and watch, and then I would go home, and then he started asking me, well, as long as you're going that way, can you take me home? And so I would take him home, and then it turned into, can we get something to eat on the way? And so we really just started to develop a relationship very organically, and we just turned into people were always used to seeing us together. He was like my son, and so yeah, he was really very much the inspiration behind a lot of what I'm doing right now, and he's a great guy, and I know he will be very successful. He wants to be a pastor. Actually, he wants to be a youth pastor. Mm-hmm. So he will always have a stake and pick up the ball as far as I'm concerned. But I learned a lot from that. I probably learned more from doing that than he learned from me. I made a lot of mistakes with him, and I, not that I'm not making any more mistakes, hopefully concentrated all in sort of one period of time, but I learned a lot, and the poor guy went through my training and my learning curve, and so hopefully I'm doing it better now. I know I'm still learning. I know I still make mistakes, but yeah, he was the first one.
How old is Sterling now?
How old is he?
Yeah.
He is 18, or I think he's 18.
And so senior,
Might be 19.
about to
I
graduate.
think he's 19 actually. He's out of high school, getting ready to go to college.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So where do you meet your kids? How many kids do you have now? What kind of time frame do you spend with them organized? I know you
Sure.
organically have basketball games and track and things that you support them with, but essentially, when do you meet and where?
Yeah. I meet them out on the courts, by and large. Sometimes, a brother will join, or somebody who doesn't play basketball, which is great. I'm fine with that. But by and large, most of the relationships I have are developed because I was out at the basketball court and met them there, or they introduced a friend that also plays ball. And hopefully we'll continue to meet those guys. There's a lot of guys that I know, that I see, I talk to. They're not involved in the organization. Hopefully not yet. Hopefully they will be at some point. But they know about what we're doing, and even if they're not involved, I think that they're supportive and would direct other people to us, even if they might not want to do things with us. I've got about 20 that are really active right now. I've got more than that on my roster, but really 20 that are really kind of invested in the organization, doing things with us, and We meet all over the place. I don't have a location yet. I'm hoping to get one. I've got computers that have been donated to me that I can get set up if I can just find a location. And that is huge, because if I can get computers, I can start to help them more with applications, job applications, homework, all kinds of stuff that they ask me about almost on a daily basis. That's a really big need for me. Right now, if they need to do an application, I'll get them set up on my own personal laptop, and they just do it. That's not cutting the mustard, so I need to get that in place. But so, Crossover Youth Center lets us use their location, Quality of Life Center, See His Face Ministries, the Armory has let us use their space. So it's not bad to be sort of
Mobile, yeah.
kind of changing our scenery a lot and being connected to a lot of different organizations. It keeps us out there. And I hope that even once I get a location, we'll still be able to kind of keep an element of that, because I think it's good for them to be seen out in the community and see other organizations and do things like that. I think that's an important part of what we do, because we haven't set up shop and said you can come to us and just rely on them coming to us. We'll go out and we'll get them and we'll bring them to where we're meeting. Most of these guys don't drive, so some of them have licenses, don't drive, but most of them actually don't even have their licenses yet. So we'll go and we'll bring them, and I'm working with 15 years and older. I'm not
Right.
little, we're working with little ones. So they're
They need some people to take them to actually practice driving so they can get their driver's license. in the
right,
first
and that's
place.
one of the things I do. I'll take them up to the DMV and I'll help them with that. We're a true outreach. We're reaching out. We're getting them. We're bringing them. We'll bring them back home. And that all started with I still think the most important thing, getting them to and from the basketball court, so that they can be there and be playing and engage in that more than maybe they could if we weren't doing that, and two, keeping them safe.
Well, we're going to be coming right back. We're going to talk about exactly what you need and how we can support you. Stay tuned. CTV1, we'll be right back.
Soul child, yeah, it feels good right here. It feels good right here.